ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's give us something to talk about. Something to talk. Let's give them something to talk about. Yeah. Something to talk.
Hello, welcome to yet another episode from season 2 of The Secret Lives of Adults. My name is Kojo, Yankson.
And mine is Animwaa.
Yeah.
For now.
Yes. Subject to change.
Part 3 coming soon.
Every episode, new name. All right. Today we want to talk about.
Thank you.
Oh yes.
To
Before
Oak
we get to
Plaza
that.
Hotels in Accra and Kumasi.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much. And look how beautiful this place is.
Yes.
It's all thanks to Oak Plaza.
And
we also want to say a big thank you to Black ID. You like my
yes,
trousers?
I do, certainly.
Yes, they made it happen.
I'm sure, never mind. Also, a big thank you to Comfort Productions as well. So,
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm sure other women like the things that lie beneath the trousers. That's what I was going to say. But I didn't say it, and you should have left it unsaid.
I mean, thank you for lowering the tone abruptly.
Wow.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So today we're going to talk about something that is not talked about enough. That's the truth. Because those who know enough about it really are not motivated to discuss it.
Yeah.
I'm a typical example. We're talking about divorce. Right?
Divorce.
All right then. What do we want to say about divorce?
It's a tough one. I think number one is stop being so judgmental. Like you know it all and you could have done it better just because you're still married and you're not divorced. Like stop being judgmental. People are so judgmental. People feel like you could have done it because of this or that or this. And people feel like, or people treat people who are divorced as if somehow they are lesser for being divorced. And people just need to stop. Like you just need to stop doing that. Divorce is something that if you have not gone through, you can never understand. It's not something that you can talk about in theory. I'm sorry, you cannot. You have to have gone through to understand. I did a course many years ago. It's the open course, and it was about marriage, and the counselors described marriage as the sticking together, as it were, of 2 A4 sheets of paper. So you rubbed glue across the whole surface of a piece of paper, and you stuck another one to it. And divorce is like trying to rip apart those 2 pieces of paper that are stuck together. No matter how careful you are, each piece is ripped in a way that is almost irreparable. So I feel like people find it just very easy to make really dumb comments about people who have been through divorce without actually understanding how much we who are divorced wish we didn't have to have gone through that.
Yeah. And you know, I think part of the reason why people think, especially married people, think that they know better than those who are divorced.
Yeah.
Is that when you get divorced, you are considered to have failed at marriage.
Yeah.
Right? You failed at marriage. And in some ways, that is not a fair characterization, if you ask me. In some ways, I understand why you look at it, because the aim of marriage is for it to last forever. So if it doesn't last forever, it's easy for you to think about it as a failure. You attempted something and you didn't succeed. You failed, right? So I get that. But just like your paper stuck together analogy, there's another analogy of marriage. Imagine that life is a motorway. But it's endless. The motorway is endless. It never ends. We are all on it. At some point, our journey will end. We will die, but the motorway will never end.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, at some point, you get married. When you get married, then you go onto this motorway, right? Now, the thing is that you have no idea how much fuel you have in your car.
Yeah.
Nobody has any idea. We are just driving to see if we die before we run out of fuel.
Yeah.
And those who stay married until they die, it's because they died before they ran out of fuel. And those who get divorced ran out of fuel before they died.
Yeah.
It's not a failure.
Yeah.
It's just that unfortunately, those who got divorced, they met the thing that would divorce them before they died.
Yeah.
Those who don't get divorced just never met the thing that would divorce them.
Yeah.
And they are lucky they died before they met that thing.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely believe that there is something that can end every
single marriage, of course.
No matter how, and it's good to have that mentality that, no, as for me, no matter what happens, I'm never leaving this marriage. It's good to have that mentality. It helps. It helps. Trust me. It will help you get through some things which most people might quit when they get to that. So it's good to have that mentality. But trust me, there is something that you can't overcome.
Yeah.
Because, you see, it's two people. So if even you, let's say the man, you've set your mind that, as for me, doesn't matter what she does, even if she goes on a killing spree, I'm never going to divorce her. Fine. Good, that's you. But for her, maybe the day you grow a mustache, she'll walk out of the house. So you see, you don't control her deal breakers.
Yeah.
She doesn't control yours. So it's good to have that mentality, but even that is not a guarantee that you will stay on the road until you die.
Yeah.
So I like to use that analogy instead to let people understand that when you get divorced, you haven't failed. You just met your impediment, the one that would get you off the road. You met it first before your life ended.
Yeah.
But those who stay together is because, luckily, the things that they encounter, they can overcome.
They could overcome, yeah.
But there is something that they would not have been able to overcome, just that they will never encounter it until they die. Lucky them.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's you know, this, I don't remember if it's a prayer or a verse or whatever in the Bible that says something like, you know, God should not give us more than what we can bear, which means that we can all bear up to a certain point. And you get to a certain point and like there's just nothing you can do about it. And so either to save your sanity or whatever, you decide that I'm going to walk away. I think the focus for me a lot is how much people underestimate how painful it is. So, you know, the funny thing, Kojo, is I'm the divorced friend, right? So when people are having a difficult time in their relationships and they're considering divorce, I'm the one they call. And it's funny because people call me expecting me to be an advocate for divorce. It's like, okay, you know, so I'm thinking about getting divorced. So what's it like? What's the dating like? And I listen to them and I'm like, why do you want to get divorced? They're like, oh, but you know, you got divorced and you're fine and you're this and you're that. And I'm like, until you have completely like maxed out to the brim everything that you can do, try. Because the road between I want to get divorced to I am divorced to I feel like a human being again is a very long, treacherous, painful. I describe it as like having your soul gang raped. That's how it feels. You are like defiled, you are torn into pieces, you are no, Kojo, I don't think people like really get that. Look, I may have been married to you and I know that marriage is over. I may not even love you anymore. But it's a covenant. It's a joining together of two human beings and of spirit, of soul, it's not as easy as breaking off a relationship. It's you are breaking a covenant. And the healing from that is the toughest thing I've ever done in my life.
And you know, look, the truth is that today there are people who get off the highway for the silliest reasons, right? They haven't actually run out. They just get bored of driving or whatever. There are people who get divorced for reasons that don't feel legit. But again, that's us making judgments of their lives. We are the ones thinking that, well, I would have survived that. I would have endured that. I could have lived with that.
With that, yeah.
understand that they couldn't.
Yeah.
They couldn't. No matter how flimsy it may seem, they couldn't. Now, we think that somehow cheapens the institution of marriage. That's the silliest excuse I've ever heard. How can somebody else's conduct cheapen your marriage?
What it means to you, yeah.
How can somebody else's divorce cheapen your marriage? Like, so you had indexed the value of your marriage to theirs.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you were determining the value of your marriage.
Value.
Oh, if this person gets divorced, then my marriage won't work.
Yeah.
Like
if they couldn't make it work, then how will I make mine?
Why would you think that way?
Yeah.
You see, and it is the same thinking that makes married people want to just automatically discourage others from getting divorced.
Getting divorced.
And to encourage everyone to get married. The most miserable wives
are the ones who
are encouraging people to get married.
Yes.
Just because they have indexed the value of their marriage to other people's actions. So if more people join, then mine has value. And if people leave, mine has no value.
Yeah.
It's the same mentality that makes people do that. And it's such a pity because, Charlie, the thing, it was a decision you made with another human. Look in your soup. Do you understand? Fine?
I understood it perfectly.
Yeah.
Come on,
thank you. Like, Charlie, do you?
Do you, right?
And look, honestly, you should only get divorced if that is the solution to your problem. Sometimes divorce is the solution. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes divorce is the solution. If you know that the problem you are facing, there is no other solution to it. Literally, there is nothing that will solve that problem. Continuing in the marriage will not solve the problem. What?
Counseling and
therapy. And you have to actually do those things.
Prayers, deliverance.
You have to actually do the counseling, do the therapy, the prayer, the deliverance. You have to do them before you know they won't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Right? Don't sit back and think these will not work.
Yeah.
Do them. And so if you have done the things and you realize that solution is not from the marriage, maybe that's when you start thinking about divorce. Because trust me, once you are divorced,
wow.
Like I don't know what, especially for men.
Okay.
Especially for men.
What happens?
A car.
Oh,
debt,
you mean like alimony,
cost,
child support,
cost. And look, the money cost is big, but the other costs too are there. The sacrifices, especially if you have children. If you have children, look, being divorced doesn't return you to being a single guy.
No, if you have children, no,
it doesn't. It doesn't. You are now a guy without a wife who must still make decisions with others in mind.
Yeah.
You must still make decisions with your ex-wife in mind, with your children in mind.
Yeah.
So you're not single.
No, you're not.
You can't just bring anyone into your life.
Yeah.
You can't just meet a girl and decide, I'm going to mess with this girl because she has a big ass. No. If there is any flaw in her character that you cannot bring it around your child.
No, you can't.
You can't give that person access to your child. So unfortunately, nice ass or not, she's just going to have to, you are going to have to give her up.
Yeah.
You can't bring her into your orbit. So you're not single.
Yeah.
If you were single, if there was no one else to think about, then yeah, you could experiment and try out all kinds of, and quite literally date someone just because she has a nice ass.
But Kojo, it's not even about dating. I mean, just about dating. I remember when we did the first season of this podcast. And I mean, I came to you because obviously we did it together, and I had so much feedback, about the fact that, okay, I was being open and I was being that, and how will it affect my kids? And you're thinking, okay, how is the ex going to feel about this conversation or that conversation? And there's a part of you that feels like, I'm not with you anymore. Like, I just want to live my life. But that baggage, it kind of just never goes away.
Ever. ever, once you've been married to someone, there is an aspect of your life that will always involve that someone.
Yeah.
And you see, the new people who come into your life have to contend with that as well.
Yeah.
It becomes part of their reality. If they're going to choose you as their partner, they have to understand that there is a whole gaggle of ghosts in your background whose behavior, activity will affect your new life with this person.
I mean, if you have children, for example, you're getting married again, then this other person can either throw a tantrum, or they could be supportive, they could have an opinion, they could say, I don't want my children around this person. There's so much drama that comes with, okay, we're divorced, but still there's a link to this person. I think especially if there are children.
Absolutely. So
if they're not, then maybe you can kind of make a bit of a cleaner break.
Cleaner.
Yeah, cleaner.
But still not completely clean. So this is what I'm saying, that before you make that decision, before you even contemplate divorce, you have to understand the cost. And again, just like how you need to think about it before you get married, think about it before you get divorced. Yeah. Like actually envisage your new life. Picture the new reality. The things you can do, the things you can't do. The limitations you will have. How will things be when you meet a new person? How will things be when your child grows old enough to ask you important questions?
Yeah. Could you?
Sorry, I was just going to say, and look, the children, your child. Look, this is something that women are accused of more than men. This idea of women weaponizing the children in a divorce, right? And quite openly telling the children the failings of their father.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't do this, or he didn't do that. While men rather try to continue to make the child see mom as an angel.
Yeah.
Right? So this is, and again, this is a generalization, because there are exceptions. There are men who are idiots, there are women who do it right. But the children, this is why divorce has a negative effect on children.
Yeah.
The way the adults treat them after the divorce. That's why.
And each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's why. If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for how our behavior towards our children changes when we get divorced, divorce should not have a negative effect on children.
No.
It shouldn't. There shouldn't be a reason why having two parents living in different locations should somehow have a negative traumatic effect on a child.
It's difficult anyway for the children to have both parents in one place and then have two homes, because obviously when you have two homes it gets a little bit tiring. I'm with mommy on these days, I'm with daddy on these days.
The logistics of it is tiring.
And sometimes the emotions of I'd rather be here than be here, and then there's all of.
But you see, even that boils down to how the adults are treating each other.
Yeah.
The fact that you have to be here 1 week and there another week, or you have to be here 3 days and there 2 days. All of these things are decisions made by the adults. Okay, and if it wasn't for these things,
the children would be able to say,
fine.
I want to go to daddy, or I want to go to mommy.
Precisely. So in reality, the reason why divorce is hard on kids is because of us. It's because of us, the adults. So look, you need to think about all these things before you dare.
And then also, Kojo, there's the labeling. I don't know if men have a hard time with the labeling as much as women.
It's worse for women.
Yeah, as much as women have. There's a label of, you're divorced. The one that kills me is the whole born 1, born 2, born 3 label thing.
But that one, you get it even if you're not divorced.
But then you don't get it if you're married.
I get that. I'm with you. But I mean, if you've never been married, you will still
have it. Kids, but then obviously, if you're divorced, to that. But then somehow, your value as a divorced woman seems diminished in the eyes of men and their mothers.
And their mothers.
God. I mean,
which is ironic.
Right. You meet a guy and, depending on the kind of woman you are, maybe he thinks he'll get you for cheaper, because you're divorced.
When you say cheaper?
As in, like, it doesn't take as much effort, or somehow, you don't cost as much. And I don't mean this in money terms. I mean, another
sacrifices.
Yes, and then all of that. And then there's the fact that, okay, now maybe I love you, but now I have to explain you to my family or my friends. Like, I can't just introduce, oh, this is my girl. Like, it is an explanation stroke, apology stroke, you know. And I remember getting into a relationship after I got divorced, and I felt like I had to apologize. Like, I have to apologize that I have, you know, 2 children. I have to apologize that these are the things I've been through. I have to apologize that this is who I am. And I looked at the whole situation. I was like, you know, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to apologize for my children. I would rather lose you than not have them. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think anybody who makes you apologize for that is the right person for you, number one. I'm never going to apologize to a man's family, to his mother, that I was married before, that I had kids. I don't mind having a conversation with you, not to explain myself necessarily, but if this is a forever conversation and we're going to be part of each other's lives, I get that you would want to know my story if I was, for example, going to be your daughter-in-law. Do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to make myself something that is going to be judged. You know, you're going to like sift through and decide, oh, has her value decreased because... And I'm going to say something which I think is very controversial. I think that people who have been through divorce and have done the work and have healed are much more resilient, have much more empathy and compassion, and maybe even make better partners than people who are surviving a marriage just to prove that we are surviving a marriage.
And I'll tell you why you're right about that.
I saw how you held your breath though, because you weren't sure what I was going to compare.
I had no idea where you were going.
Yeah.
Where you were going with that. But I'll tell you why you're right about that. You see, the ones who are surviving the marriage, they are the ones who are married but cheating.
Yeah.
Right? So they're in the marriage
and
because being divorced is not an option. Right?
Yeah. But what's the quality of the marriage?
Instead they are cheating. They either have side chicks or they are back with their ex-boyfriends and having children into the marriage with their ex-boyfriends.
Wow.
Those are the marriages that end up making the news. Okay? Because divorce is not an option, right?
Yeah.
Is that a better quality person?
Yeah.
Why does society think that
person deserves more respect than
someone who has walked away from a marriage because they've realized that the solution to the problem will not come from the marriage? Yeah. Why? And look, it's worse for women, I agree. But every now and then it happens to us men as well, and it's ridiculous. So I was in this group, this WhatsApp group. Right? There are men, there are women. Now, I didn't know at the time, but there was a girl in there who seemed to think, and you know me, I'm quite flirtatious and but I do it with everyone so that I don't give someone the wrong impression.
You never do it with me. Let's move on.
Why?
Let's move on.
Why?
Let's move on.
So, I tend to do it with everyone, or I do it in the open glare, right? I don't like this. I don't like what you are doing. When I'm being like harmlessly flirtatious, it's not private, it's not secret. I do it like I'll call you sweetheart and dear and give you a hug and whatever in the presence of everyone. Wow. Right. Animwaa, stop trying to divert.
I'm not sorry. Go ahead.
Why must this be about?
It's not. I'm really sorry. Please.
Is there something you would like to say?
No, please.
Would you like to let it out?
No.
Some feelings, some pent-up feelings that you want to deal with today.
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
So is it okay for me to continue what I was saying?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. I was saying that, look, I try to make sure that nobody is led on by my harmless
flirtations with everybody else but me.
Because you will notice that I will do it with everyone in the group, or I will do it in a way that is not secret or doesn't make anyone think that I'm coming on to them in particular. Now this group, there were some of them I hadn't even met before, but our conversations were all online. We're chatting, joking, and nothing scandalous, or just fun. Now this girl, who I didn't find attractive, I don't think she was particularly good looking. I don't know why people get a problem with men saying that a girl is unattractive, but this one was unattractive.
Okay, yes.
And for some reason, she got it into her head that...
Wow. Yes, I'm like, wow. She got it into her head that you were flirting with her and you liked it.
Yes,
Yes.
That I liked her.
Yeah.
Even though I was talking like that to everybody, every female in the group. So one day we had this big event where we all met. There were about 18 of us in this group. We all met. And at some point, this girl came up to me privately and said, now that I've met you, like, I realize why, there seems to be so much attention on you. Oh, you're a nice guy. But I hope you know why you and I will never work. And I was torn. I didn't know whether I should immediately tell her that, what do you mean you and I will never...
when was this an option?
I know you and I will never work because it's not an option. You are not attractive. I mean, I wanted to either say that or I was curious to find out where she's getting this delusion
idea
from.
Me.
My curiosity won.
Okay, we thank God for it.
So I said, why is that? And she said, oh, because you are divorced, you have a child. I don't want a guy who, already has a child who's divorced. So, I'm very confused.
And you're still I'm confused on your behalf.
I mean, you are an unemployed, unattractive girl who lives somewhere in Ashaman. I mean, I have no interest in you whatsoever. I am not an option available to you.
She's not interested in you either. Why?
I'm not an option available. So why are you even here telling me what it is about me that makes me not meet your standard?
Yes.
The fact that you have a standard is news to me. It's also valueless news to me because I don't require this information. So anyway,
I think the point is,
I said all this to her. By the way.
Oh, wow, okay.
I was very confused. I didn't know where this was coming from. I said, where did you even get the idea that you and I, working or not working, is something that is being considered by anyone on this planet besides you? Nobody is thinking about that. It's your own unilateral wet dream, and I do not want to participate in it.
Okay.
So anyway, the point I'm making is this. It is bad, so bad to the point where people who shouldn't even consider you a possible goal they can achieve.
Feel like they can.
Feel like you are not up to their standard. Because you are divorced. But the truth is, if you really want to know the pitfalls, the things to avoid, the things to look out for, the things to be careful about in your marriage so that you stay longer on that highway, talk to divorced people.
Yeah.
First of all, they will not encourage you to get divorced. I mean, if they are level-headed, they will definitely not encourage you to get divorced. That's the first plus. But secondly, they will allow you to look at your marriage in ways that are real.
Yeah.
So that if there is a solution in there that is evading you, or maybe you are not working hard enough to find it, it's a divorced person who will help
tell you. Yeah, definitely.
So Charlie, don't sit on us.
Rush. I know that we're running out of time, but I kind of wanted to talk about the shame. But from a religious perspective. Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I remember when I got divorced, I joined a new church, not my current church, but I joined a new church and I sing, right? So I remember I went up to the pastor and I was like, oh, hello. He was like, oh, I've seen you around a few times. And I asked him, I was like, I'd like to join the choir. And he was like, oh, of course. I mean, that would be lovely. And I was like, there's a problem though. And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm divorced. So I don't know if that would. I mean, he was probably the kindest, most gracious human being. So there was no judgment. I joined the choir. All of that was fine. And that was Hope City Church. But the fact that somewhere along my journey, I had picked up the idea that because I've been through this, I'm less than. And the truth is that actually, after I got divorced, the first time, I didn't sing. I think for about 4 or 5 years. Didn't sing, couldn't be on stage, leading worship, none of that. I couldn't. The condemnation, the shame, the guilt, the sense of failure, it overtook me for a long time. And the most difficult thing also was forgiving myself. Because if you have any sense, then you know that you contributed to the divorce. So forgiving yourself and being able to say, I did this and this and this, and this was my fault. How do I forgive myself and say, I'm going to do better?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that we all consider a marriage ending as a failure. We all think about it that way. So the shame is unavoidable. You are going to feel it. But what that means is that we actually do value the institution of marriage.
Yeah. And the people we were married to, even
otherwise,
if we're not
why would you feel shame?
Yeah.
So it's actually the strongest evidence that you took what you were doing seriously.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't engulf you. You should understand that in this world, look, the things that God can forgive us for, this is not
a big deal. All right, so that's us on divorce. Hope this helps.
Say 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's give it something to talk about.